Jai Gurudev and welcome everyone on this first online session of Vastu. So today we have with us Srimati Sudha Baiji. She is one of our speakers in the conference and she has been practicing Vastu from almost 2 decades. She has learned with Sri Sahasra Buddhaji, and the best part, the most interesting part here, that she has been titled or bestowed a title of Vastu Saraswati by her Guru. So she's going to talk about all the basic principles and many interesting facts on Vastu. So let's welcome Mrs. Sudha Pai. Jai Gurudev ji.
Jai Gurudev. It's nice to be talking to you all. Today I'm going to talk about why we need to know Vastu Shastra. What is the relevance in today's world? All the ancient Vaidic wisdom is like a gift to mankind. Because they focus on balancing the 5 elements with which everything in this world is made up of. We are also made up of all these 5 elements. So, Vastu Shastra is actually a science and also an art, of how you can build a structure in such a way that the nature, whatever energy that flows in nature outside is in tune, with the energy inside. Rather, it's the other way around. The energy inside a closed space should flow in such a way that it is in tune with what is outside. So that is the basic objective of Vastu Shastra. When we build a home, we know how to build a home structurally, but we don't know because there are a lot of energies that are unseen energies, cosmic forces from different sources. They come from the sky, they come from the earth and the sun and all that. So how do you balance something which you have not seen? This is what our ancient people knew, and they were compiled by our Rishi Munis. And basically there are 18 Rishi Munis, Bhrigu, Atri, Vasishtha, Vishwakarma, many names I can take, and they have compiled it, and it's been handed down to people. So this is the basic nature of what we do as a Vastu consultant. So
this is very interesting thing you mentioned, that Vastu means balancing the energies within the house along with or bringing them in sync with the energies which are outside. So in Jyotish also we follow the same thing. Like all the remedies we do like if somebody has been doing certain mantras, this is actually, our mantra is recommended to somebody considering how is his energy field outside, and that's how we give certain mantras to balance the inside of that person's energy with the outside. So all the Jyotish remedies are also actually nothing but balancing inside energies with the energies outside. So same thing we do with Vastu. Like if I do pranayama or meditation to balance my energy inside and outside, similarly we do Vastu remedies to balance the energy within the house and outside the house. That's very interesting.
Exactly. All these darshanas that we have, and the Upavedas, Upangas, most of them, that is the main underlying principle of balancing the 5 elements. Nothing else is there, other than these 5 elements in the manifest world. So, how we balance it and how we become in tune with nature decides whether or not we are going to live a happy, healthy life. So, that is the focus of Vastu Shastra. And in fact, as you said, Jyotish Shastra, Vastu Shastra relies heavily on Jyotisha, because all of the remedial work that we do, it comes from Jyotisha only. And by itself Vastu Shastra is very limited. When we understand this with a multi-dimensional way, like what is the connection that Vastu Shastra has with Yoga Shastra, Jyotisha, Ayurveda, everything, the remedies. For example, if I can just quote, when we have cold, what do? Generally we put adrak in our tea. That's a ginger tea we have. So ginger, as everybody knows, increases heat in the body. So that is how every science, that is Ayurveda, Jyotisha, all of them basically go for balancing the elements. So how do we balance the elements? That is what, when you know how Vastu and Jyotishya and Yoga are interconnected, it is very easy, because when we go for consultations for Vastu, the main thing people have in their mind is that how is it that they talk about it, they come and look at some particular aspect of a house, say a door in the wrong zone, and we say you don't have a door here, or close the window here, and that will bring you this kind of luck, or your son is going to get better marks. That is what, it's perplexing. We actually it is not, actually we have to give them a complete view. We are just saying we know something which they don't know, and we have to just connect the dots. What happens is that the Vastu, everybody talks about Vastu and how it energizes your homes, and all that part everybody knows, but not many know that Vastu Shastra, it is connecting the time and space part of it. That is the dimension many don't know about. The space and time are like, if you take a coin, it's on both the sides, they're one and the same. That is one thing which people have to understand. The moment you take care of the space, because it is connected to time, your time, the future, it is taken care. That is how Vastu is also known as eventology, in our common language. So how are they connected? How is Dik and Kal? Even the modern day scientists these days, they talk about the connection between time and space. They say it's a single continuum.
In fact, I have read somewhere the definition of time. Some wise person has mentioned, when consciousness moves through matter, it gives us a perception of time. So here, the time's perception, though we know that time do not exist, it is only in our perception, but the perception of time also comes when our consciousness experience matter in a different way. So when you're talking about matter, these are the 5 elements. So once you're able to purify or balance these 5 elements around you, it definitely improves the quality of time you're going to have.
Exactly.
This is how Jyotish also connects, and the same principle you are bringing in Vastu also. So this is very fascinating to know.
Yes, it is. Time and space. Even modern scientists, that's what they say, that distance is time and space. There is a formula which I'm not very clear about, but distance, time and space are connected. Similarly, our own Rishi Muni, especially Rishi Kanada, earlier days, he had told that Dik and Kal, they are one and the same. Ages ago, maybe 5,000-10,000 years ago, he had told that time and space are one and the same. So, for example, how is it? So, we have in Jyotishya, you will be, more, versatile. I mean, you will be able to explain more better. What happens is that we know Pratipada, Dvitiya, Tritiya, Chaturthi. These are the times, days in the lunar calendar. So the deity for that, Pratipada is Nanda. And Nanda is connected to southeastern direction. So yes, and so the direction and the time, one and the same, the deities are one and the same. Nanda, Bhadra, Jaya and Rikta and Panchami. Panchami is Purna, taken by Purna. Deity of Panchami is Purna. So when we know that this time and direction are one and the same, you take care of your direction, your time is taken care. You improve your directions and your time gets improved automatically. That is the virtue of Vastu corrections.
So I'm sure everyone out there is waiting to know that which direction represents what kind of aspect in our life and how it improves our time and which all aspects of our life.
Yeah.
Can you please throw some light on it?
Yes. Vastu Shastra, as I said earlier, it takes care of balancing the energies. So each direction, before I come to that point, I want to tell one small aspect. Why? What is the need for balancing? What happens if we don't balance?
Okay.
When we don't balance, what happens is the flow of prana within the home also gets blocked.
Oh.
So when the prana doesn't flow, that is when it leads to diseases in body, mind, and spirit.
Oh.
Yeah. So these directions you are asking, what is the connection in our day-to-day life? As a non-Vastu person, how does it matter to us, all of us? So it's very simple. Like astrology, that is our Jyotisha, is also having a lot of influence in our field. Suppose you all must have seen Kundali, Kundali, your own horoscopes. What is it? It is nothing but 360-degree of space around you at the time of your birth, and it has, it is cut into 12 different sections, 30 degrees each. So each one shows where a particular planet was seated on that particular day. So planets here, suddenly the planets have come into play. The direction also bears great importance in the kind of quality of vibrations coming from the planets. For example, early morning sun, we say, is very good for us, for the body. But at the same time, we say sun's rays coming from the southern direction, and setting sun has lots of UV rays, ultraviolet radiations, which are not very good. So what do we see here? A particular planet or a spatial body, when it is sending its vibration, if with reference to where you are, if it is coming from a good direction, it is beneficial. But at the same time, if it is coming from a different direction where it has different kinds of radiation, it's not going to be good on you. So this is how the planets, every planet has its strength and weakness, as you know, as an astrologer. So this is the connection between Jyotisha and Vastu. Suppose you have your own home, it has so many directions. So for example, you have, I always write, here east is here, and this is where the sun rises. And now I have just cut it into 3 by 3. This itself we call it as Vastu Purusha Mandala. This is the simplest form of just understanding the zones in a home. So what's happening here is east, southeast, south, southwest, west, northwest, north, northeast. These are the peripheral zones, and the central part is Brahmastan. So here the Brahmastan acts like the umbilical cord of us, and that is from where the energy, it gets connected. It's like a channel between the microcosm and the macrocosm, your homes, and then the outside. Because see, if you go out in the nature, even as a Vastu consultant, when we go out, when a house is being built, what do we see? The construction laborers, they have their own kids playing around, and they're so healthy. They just sleep under the sky. They don't even have proper homes, but they are so healthy because they are in a friction-free movement of vibrations outside in the nature. Whereas the moment we build a house, we are closing that much space with 4 walls. What happens is the vibrations that are in nature, when they come inside, we are creating blocks for it to move. So the focus of Vastu Shastra is to make that energy within to go in the same way that it goes outside in the nature, although it is unseen. So how does energy move in nature?
Can I ask one thing here? We build a house to have a better life.
Yes.
To be in more comforts. So one thing is, of course, you're saying that building a house sometimes blocks the natural flow of energy. It blocks the natural flow of prana within the house.
Yes.
And that's how it impacts everyone else staying in the house. Can we also enhance the flow of prana by building a house in a special way, so that whatever is happening in the surroundings, sometimes the nature is little difficult, it's challenging.
Yes.
But if we can build house in such a way, like we always build house to protect from the forces of nature.
Yes.
But can we build house in such a way, even if the space element is not very favorable, if you're going through some bad Mahadasha, for example, in your birth chart, but your house is built in such a way that it protects you from all kind of negativity around, and it cultivates or nurtures all the space element.
That is the purpose of Vastu Shastra. Actually, the house that we build, it should be built according to Vastu Shastra. If you follow the rules of Vastu Shastra and then build the house, it acts like a cosmic kavach. It's like a shield. It will cover and protect you from all the planetary, what's ups and downs that you said, Dasha Bhukti, unfavorable planetary time that you're going through in your personal life. It protects you. How
we say here, a well-made house according to Vastu principles acts like a shield to protect us from all the negativity and enhances the positivity. However, if it is otherwise, if the Vastu principles are not followed, and if it goes anti-Vastu principles or anti-natural principles, it may act like a weapon and cause destruction to our own home and people living inside.
That is what is happening, now. Just 50 years ago, nobody heard of Vastu, when they were building home. They were not consulting any Vastu persons, because the building person, the mason, he knew. They were following a certain set of Vastu principles. They were building the house according to Vastu. They knew it was in their system. But over a period of time, it is lost. Because to the next generation, that education is not passed on. So, when we build according, as you said, definitely, if you don't know Vastu and you just build based on whatever suits you for convenience, just any which way, and having windows everywhere and having light come into the house from any direction, irrespective of where it is coming from, those cause trouble actually.
So I think it is really important for all of us to know at least basics of Vastu, so that we don't make blunders while constructing home or while setting up the furniture within our house by blocking certain important energies. So can we really talk about those things which a layperson, because not everybody can become a Vastu expert, but for everyone, like person like me or a lot of people who are watching us, they can really figure out that what all things are right in their house, what all things are wrong in their house, and they can fix those things. So can we really talk about those specific principles, that what all things should be taken care of while building a house for a layperson?
Yeah, we should. Actually, let us just, when you, first of all, we have to, at the stage where you buy your property, from there we will start. Even selecting a plot, from there, there are principles, there are guidelines how you should choose your own plot. So, slope, first thing that you have to consider is, how is the land, how is the soil where you are going to build the house. So basically, even now, if the soil is, this is because olden days, there was no technology to replace the soil. So they used to test the soil and find out if it's suitable for, building a foundation and having a heavy construction.
Oh, how do they test the soil?
There are many ways. One is by just looking at the color. You just hold in your hand and you smell it. Because earth element has all the 5 attributes: sparsha, rasa, gandha,
Yes.
Yeah, sparsha, and I said gandha also. Gandha, when you smell, you will know that the earth, it should give you a sweet smell. It should not be giving you a foul smell. One is the smell part of it. The other one is the color part of it. When it is more yellowish, and more, even red is suitable. Yellow is the most preferred one, because yellow represents Prithvi Tattva.
Okay.
Yes, but the black one, black soil, it is indicative of marshy land. The water retention will be too high inside, and that will, unstable. It will be an unstable base for a house to build. So, and there are other methods also, like, there are technical methods where you make a pit in the center, approximate center of the plot, and maybe 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot, and then you fill water. Then you just start walking away from it 100 steps, and then you come back. And then you see how much of water has been sucked in. So it shows the porosity. That is how you test the porosity, and you will understand lot of, if it is too porous, then it is not very firm. So that is how you test the soil. But these days we have other ways of scientifically testing it. That is also can be made use of. One is testing the soil. The more important thing at this stage is that earlier times they used to dig it up to 6 feet below to find out if it is any graveland area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I know the bones, whatever is not decomposed inside, they start to send out negative vibrations because they will be sharper. Mainly, it just distracts the energy to go in a different direction. Whatever vibration is passing in the earth, it just sends out up, and that causes lot of problems in our body and in our biochemistry level. Every cell is very prone to all these vibrations. So shalya, that is what we call it as shalya. We have to get it removed. We have to first dig the land for 6 feet and do it. But I know next what you may ask, what if the plot is too big? Do you dig up the whole thing? It's not very economical. So there are ways for that. There you have to choose. We just make a grid of this plot into 3 by 3, and then each of these centrally, in the core zones, we just make a small pit, and there you go 6 feet deep to find out if there was any bones there. So it is not suitable to build house on the grave land for that reason.
Because there are many colonies I have seen which are built on, which are now next to graveyards.
Yeah.
But earlier days it was part of graveyard, and now build the colonies on it.
That is true.
So is there any remedy if we know that my house is actually next to the graveyard, and there's a possibility that it might have a graveyard long ago under it. So now if I want to do something about it, the house is built, I cannot break the entire house. What can be done in that case?
Once it is already built and you don't know that there is no, there may have been a graveyard.
Yes.
Because these days people are converting their own land into agricultural land into building residences. So there is no way you will know. There is no way you can know that there is shalya inside. But there are astrologically, there are other remedies like Havan home, those things we can definitely use. And once in every year we are supposed to do Vastu Purusha, puja. That takes care of the vibrational corrections. Ones are just below the 6 feet, it doesn't matter at all.
Alright.
Because man has always lived and died. There will be bones everywhere, definitely at a depth. At a depth is totally fine, but before, not in the immediate depth, up to 6 feet.
Okay.
So this is about how you select your plot. I'm just covering, touching some points, and then the next thing is the land slope. Slope is very important because there is a shloka which goes in Vastu Shastra, Purva Plave Bhaver Lakshmi. So the prosperity is somehow connected to eastern direction. So what is plava? That is slope, land slope. In what way is it connected to energy movement? Earth element is something which has the power to control the vibrations. Simply because it is load, we have to understand it that way. So when there is slope to any particular direction, what it means is that so much of earth is missing in that zone. That is when the slope happens. So when a slope happens that way, which direction should be lighter? That is the question. There is something known as a positive direction and negative direction for us to understand what is a slope. So I will just give a small, hint about what are the directions. How do you consider a direction as positive or negative? So we in Vastu Shastra mainly consider, there are many cosmic forces of course, but two major forces that we take into account, energy fields. The energy field that comes from east and passes to west is from the sun, isn't it? So sun rises from the east and sets in the west, but he doesn't go in a straight line, he goes across the southern direction. So this east to west, this is the solar energy path. and this is known as spell only between morning to night, and during the night sunlight is not available. So suppose I give it a value, just to understand, I will give it a value of +2. And there's another force which is electromagnetic flux, that is coming from the earth, which goes north to south. So this is always there 24/7. So if this can become +4, isn't it? Because it is both day and night. So now we will understand each direction and try to see which is positive, which is negative. Because it is pranic Shakti which is needed by us, it's a positive direction. So it is +2. Northeast is a combination of north and east. Both are positive. So it becomes +2 +4, which is +6. Okay. So this same logic we will apply. East and west is a setting sun, so it becomes -2. South becomes -4. Southwest becomes minus of northeast, that is -6. So if you see, they are negative. No need to go into too much of detail here. You see that southeast to, if you start from southeast to your west, that is where the sun. Up to here it is negative direction, and from northwest to the eastern direction it is positive direction. So when we know that Earth can control the energy and the vibrations because of the loading capacity, which direction should we load? Where should we reduce the energy? Should we reduce the positive energy or should we reduce the negative energy?
Of course, negative.
Definitely. So, that is what. Where should be the slope? Slope is removal of earth element. You have slope towards the positive directions. That is all. So, when we are selecting our plots, we have to look at where the slope is going. Basically, the thumb rule is, it's very easy to remember that east, north, northeast are the positive directions. So, let the slope be towards any of those directions. And if you come across a plot which has slope towards the southern direction, western direction, don't choose it. That is our suggestion. So this is how you select. Once you select building part of it, again where you build the house, that you have to understand. The house is considered as a load on the Vastu Kshetra, that is your plot. So the whole load, whether it should be towards the positive direction of northeastern side or the negative direction of southwestern side. Because these two are why I have 6 and -6. So the load of the whole house should be closer to the southwest corner. So how do we achieve this? How do you know all this? How do you remember all this? It's very easy that way. If you leave less space towards the southern side and the western side, and leave more space towards the eastern side and the northern side, this is achieved automatically.
Leaving less space means outside the house?
Outside the house, okay. In between the compound that you have and the main building. Okay. This is how you decide where you should put the load of the house. Suppose in many houses, especially when this is not applied and the whole load of the house is towards the northeastern corner, such houses we call it as haunted houses.
Oh.
Yes, lot of people report that they observe some kind of noises, abnormal, paranormal activities. Usually people may not talk about it, but we come across such happenings. That is when actually it is just in our minds, just because the whole load is towards the northeastern side, they get connected to all these vibrations which are not perceived otherwise.
So these days, most people live in the flats. The building and the flats are done, and you don't really have much choice in choosing the direction because the slope, anyways, has been is not a question. It's already done, and building is already done. So, can you guide something on how to choose?
Yes.
There will be 4 flats probably or 6 flats on a floor. And 2 of them essentially have to have certain parts open and certain parts blocked. Some of them have good parts open, bad parts open, other parts block. So in such cases, how to choose and how to decide that which flat to choose, and if I've already chosen a wrong, how to remediate that?
Yes, most important, because these days most of the people are not living in their own cities. They always travel for work or something. They end up living in apartments which are easily available and suitable also. So there are some rules that you have to follow. You know, when you are selecting even for rent or ownership, when you buy a flat or fix up a flat, most of the people are going by which direction the main door is. It should be to the positive direction or negative. Like north and east are much preferred.
And that's how we choose a house built on a land, right?
On
an
a
independent villa.
Exactly, you touched the point there. Actually, in an independent villa, whatever parameters we look at, the same should not be applied in apartments. What happens is your main door is not in an open space; it's in a corridor which is closed.
Yes.
No sunlight comes inside.
Yes.
So please don't go by where your main door is. I would say that, because what happens is you go for a eastern door or the northern door, which is very nice direction to come out when we come out of the house. But the thing is, there is no light there. So what happens in a flat is you enter from a good direction, but all your balconies and open spaces, big bay windows are given to the negative directions, because that is the only space you have the view. So that is why if you go only by the direction of the door, that's a very wrong thing to do. So ideally speaking, consider flats which are having doors anywhere. There is a thumb rule for door position also. I will come to that later. But at this point, consider something which does not have too many openings towards negative directions, because negative directions are connected, especially the southern direction. Many people are afraid of even choosing south. I would say south is also a good direction. There is no such thing as any direction being bad on the whole. But the thing is, how do you treat that direction is important. Do you get a lot of light coming from the southern direction is the question. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have any opening or a window in the south. It does not really mean that. Only have houses which have lesser number of windows to south, smaller size, not huge glass facade, to the south. Those things you have to take care of. So balcony extension to south and western directions are a big no when you are choosing. What happens when you go to fix up a flat? You generally go during the day to have a look around, maybe on your weekend, and you end up seeing a lot of light. You love it. A lot of light is there, and you think this is the best one, well ventilated. But during day, when you are there, maybe mid-noon or something, sun is in the south, and that is why lot of light is coming if the openings are in the southern side. So please don't go by the light also. And the ventilation anyway is required. Everywhere we require air circulation. But when you stand, the simplest rule is, I'm sharing it with you. You just stand in the middle of the house and just observe. Just take a look around and just see from which part of the direction maximum light is approaching where you stand, the central core of the house. Suppose it is coming more from southern direction and western direction. That means that, what does that mean? Lots of windows are there in the southern side and the western side. When lots of windows are there in those directions, it means that the wall is missing. Earth element is less. So that means that the loading on the southern side and the western side is very little compared to northern and eastern direction. This reduces positive energy because the load is on the north and east, which are good directions. So this is how, when you go, you should choose a place. When you stand in the middle, look around and choose a flat which gives you a lot of light coming from north and east rather than south and west.
So if we understand this entire thing, there are certain directions which are positive, especially eastern and northern direction.
Yes.
Southern and western directions are not so positive.
Yeah.
In not so positive direction, we should have more load. Be it slope, we should have a slope towards north and east so that the load is more towards south and west.
Yes.
If it is wall, we should have all walls, tall walls towards south and west.
Yes.
And then more open space towards north and east.
You said it.
The light should come, light and air should flow more from north and east than from south and west.
That's right.
So this is the basic of choosing a good house.
Good house.
Not just door being placed in northeast or southwest.
In apartments. Yes, definitely.
Yes.
In independent houses, you have the choice. You can go for good directions also. Because when you come out in the morning to take care of your day's work, you come out facing a good direction, which is nice. It gives you a good start for the day.
Also, one more thing: is there any difference between eastern direction and northern direction results? If I have north side also blocked but open, the entire eastern side is open, how will it affect the house and the people staying in? And if I have a house with the northern direction open, how will it affect? How the effects are different?
Yeah. This is very beautiful and very interesting topic that you have started. In your own Jyotisha Shastra, your Kundali, the first house to 12th house. So the first house always refers to the eastern direction, isn't it? Because sunrise. So in your first house is eastern direction, and east refers to your own head. In the Kala Purusha, that is the body of the time, if you see, so the head refers to the eastern direction. In all those houses where there is no opening to east, where there is not light coming from the eastern direction, your thinking abilities are impaired. You cannot make proper decisions, correct decisions on time, and sometimes you may go wrong with assessment of a particular situation. These are three things connected to eastern directions. Yes, and the eastern direction is also connected to progress, because this is how sun moves from east only. So it is somehow linked to the progress in our life. So suppose there is a blind wall in an apartment. In such houses, whenever we go, people complain that my junior is getting promoted, whereas I'm not getting promotion although I'm highly qualified. This is a common grouse, because it is closed. It is it's like closing your eyes and trying to move ahead. Never happens. So we have to this is where the remedial action comes into play. You have to make energy come there. How do you do that is, every direction, first of all, let us understand the connection between the direction and the elements and the planets. So we have the planets, and the planets have their earthly entities like gems and metals. When the east is linked to fire element because of the sun connection, the Mars is also a fiery planet. So anything the connecting Mars, that is simple copper, 150 grams of copper, that is what we do. We just do place it in the form of a Shatkona, that is it, two triangles, meeting to form 6 apex, and in those apex points we just bury some copper. It represents sun. When there is no sunlight coming in from the eastern direction,
copper is definitely the metal of sun and Mars.
Yes.
But the Shatkona, the hexagon,
this sacred gem,
that is connected with Mars.
Yes.
East direction is the direction of sun, but we are enhancing Martian element here. Yes. Why so?
Because when you say east, we are not just talking about only the eastern periphery. The whole of the matrix we have to consider.
Oh, okay.
So yes, so it is ruled by Mars, and also there is Indra there. That is, Venus is also there. A little bit of vibrations coming from that planet. So every core, it's not necessarily one planet influencing. All the fire element related, even Brihaspati, Jupiter also. Because Jupiter is a heavy planet, we are not going to put anything related to Jupiter there. So there's a little bit of logic also. So Mars is what is representing fire element, so we put something related to Mars.
Okay.
But the same, as you said, sun is also there in the east. Sun is represented by, in terms of metal, it is represented by gold. But Brahmastan is where the point of sun is. That is what
the Brahmastan is the center part.
Yeah,
of the
it's like, you have to imagine you are establishing a little mini universe inside the solar system, and the center is where sun should be.
Absolutely.
Yes. And each of these directions have their own directional planets. And that there is a whole chapter of Ratna Adhyaya. It is one of the remedial chapters, methods that we use. So when it's very simple, like how I spoke about ginger tea to enhance my fire during winter, same thing. If something is missing in a zone, just give it, just bury it or put it in the vibrational level. Just hanging something on the walls, they are not going to help.
Okay, is it balancing the element or enhancing the element? I have seen a lot of people putting, because southeast is the place of fire,
yes,
as I understand. And this is also the place of money.
Yes,
in Vastu. Yes. So a lot of people put a lot of fire in southeast in order to get more money. So are we enhancing the fire element or balancing it?
Okay. Two directions are representing one element here. East and southeast. Both are fire element. In the east, the fire element is like Jyoti, like a very warm, motherly, warmth is there. Whereas in the southeast, it's Krura, the nature of fire there, it is like Jwala, ready to burst. So in the east, you have to enhance, and here you should control. In the southeast, we have to control. Same thing happens with every direction. If you take Prithvi Tattva in the south and the southwest, southwest is more negative zone, that is equated to Smashan. And whereas this is like your Pujagraha. There is a connection.
Northeast is the Pujagraha.
Yeah. I'm saying that when you compare, you are right. Northeast is for very divine, because the deity is Isha. Ishanya, we call it as Ishanya in our language. So I'm talking about every direction represented by one single element, two directions representing one single element, and one is very positive, another is not so positive, like that. So in the negative directions. So when you come to the positive directions, all are very good. So even in the west, west and the northwest represent wind element. West here is like Tufan, that is hurricane, central part of west. The wind is very it's destructive in nature, ruled by Saturn. And the northwestern region is like Pavan, something that you breathe in, take in, and something that keeps you alive. So there are these two. That is what, when you asked whether one should enhance something, an element in a zone or not, depends on the nature of that element in that particular zone. So there are only two things, nothing confusing. So east is like...
How do we know the nature of element in each zone?
We just have to know that it is so. Like, in the eastern...
Can you please
yes,
list down each direction and
yes,
give us the nature of each element there?
We will do that. Okay. East and I will come. If you just mentally draw, maybe even here you can see. Again, I'm coming to the basic diagram here. East and southeast, I have colored it red because that is fire element, and these two, south and southwest, are yellow to represent earth element. This is wind element, west and northwest blue, and this is your water element, Jala Tattva, north and northeastern directions. So your question was about
how do we know that which is the positive element in that direction or not?
Okay.
As you mentioned, east is a tender fire, it's a caring fire, motherly fire, which nurtures like a Jyoti, while southeast is a Krura fire. Similarly, how south and southwest earth element are different, how west and northwest air element are different, and how north and northeast water elements are different.
For that, again, we rely on Jyotisha knowledge. The first house I was saying, it represents your head and health and everything. Second house represents Dhanasthan.
Yes.
The money in your hands, kutumba sukha, the happiness that you derive from your family. So it's like that. We have to understand each of the 12 houses. Third one is about dhairya, sahas, your relationship with your younger kin and all, kith and kin. So the fourth is about mother. So that is the northern direction, isn't it? So for that there is another, I'll just hold it for you to see. Yeah, the fourth direction, that is the northern direction, represented by motherly figure. Fifth is about children. Sixth is about ailments, sevasthana, all those things. And also our servants or whoever works with us, helping us. Seventh is about your marital life and partnerships and all. Eighth is about the enemies that you have or the black energy that you attract, the evil eye energy, all those things. The trouble in life basically. And ninth is your father figure, all wellness and how is he doing in his life, health, all those. 10th is your karya kshetra, karmasthan, the job that you do, the kind of career that you hold, your life, future, all those things are connected to. Anything related to work life is connected to 10th house, southern direction. Directions, that is what.
So if you're blocking the southern direction, are we blocking our career options?
You are enhancing your options because from the southern direction, when you say blocking, you mean a wall. So you're not blocking anything, you're blocking negative energy. When you have a wall there, because south is a negative zone, and the vibrations coming from south is something that you really don't need.
Okay. So all the problems are coming only from south and west.
Yes.
So if we are talking about problems in the married life,
yes,
we have to actually block the west because it is bringing negativity there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. In fact, in apartments, when you go, usually when do you have tea? You have a cup of tea as you return, once you return from your work, and you want to have a look at the sun, setting sun. So you would really love to have a balcony in the western direction. Generally, they do. But
that's why sunset points are considered most romantic points.
That is true. Exactly.
Okay.
But you have to avoid that.
Oh, is it?
Yes. So having a huge openness towards western direction indicates that the loading there is very low. That means that lot of Saturn's vibrations are coming there.
Saturn's vibrations.
Yes, and if you look at, if you consider looking at the Vastu Purusha. Vastu Purusha is nothing but a symbolic representation of how the energies are within that zone where you have built your house. So if you see the central deity here of western direction is Mitra. When a lot of light is coming inside, white light or the natural light is equated to Jala Tattva. So the nature of Jala Tattva is to flow, spread out. So in the Mitra zone, lot of Saturn's vibrations are coming in, and the white light is coming in. So the Mitratva is supposed to spread. But the thing is, Saturn is someone, his nature is to reduce. So he reduces mitratva, he reduces the bonding between people. That is how people having too much of openings in the western direction end up having disharmony in their marital life.
Oh.
Yes, this is observed. And at the moment, whenever we talk about these problems, there is no need to be afraid of this, discussing about this, because there are always remedies. How you have to just cut the light that is coming in from that direction to reach the center, because center, the Brahmastan is where the wheel is, the energy movement is happening in the helical manner. So just don't allow that light to come and reach the center. You just have lots of, not putting the curtains. Curtains won't help. You have to just load the zone. Maybe have a garden there. For the Vastu conference, we are giving out lot of tips, these small tips on our
Facebook page.
Yes. So we have mentioned these things also. Majority of the, I have helped some people in life who were almost, they had gone to the court, where by just controlling the energy in the western direction.
Oh.
It is possible. You have to just cut the light coming from there and make the zone heavy to control the negativity. That is it. We are playing with the vibrations. We are either, we are trying to control the vibrations coming from these negative directions, southeast to western direction, these are negative, and you are trying to increase or enhance the directions in the positive direction.
So loading the direction or having a wall there cuts the negativity. Now, how to enhance the positive aspect in the house? So, if something is open, it is open. Now, how if I want to enhance that, how do I do that?
Yes, as we know, eastern direction, you have just one door is there, and no energy comes in. So sun's light is not coming in. It's a positive direction. You want to enhance that. Just the sacred geometry is something we follow when we are burying this. We need to just create continuous flow of vibrations, which otherwise it is missing there. Because there is no light coming in, you just put those gems and metals in a particular sacred geometry. It has to be, specific to those direction. I cannot do a star in the northern direction because northern direction is a Jalatattva zone, water element zone. So we just take care of these basic,
I have seen a lot of people putting a fountain in the northeast corner.
Yeah.
How far that is good for?
Yeah, it is good as long as it is not made of one heavy granite. You may have also seen in some places, beautiful, in the whole wall you have this fountain thing, water is, the cascading water. But the thing is they have used lot of granite there. The zone has become heavier. So the idea of having streaming of water is very good, very appropriate for the direction to increase the vibrations in that zone. But what you have done with the decor, external elements, that granite and adding heaviness is not correct. So you have to just use a very light setup. It can be in white marble, no problem, because white marble polarizes energy, doubles the energy by the internal reflection. So you can go for a white marble one instead of any granite one. You have to be very slightly, intelligent about choosing the materials.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And how about putting a temple in the northeast corner? So if I have choice that I should put a fountain or flowing water or a temple, a small temple, I place it in the northeast corner. Which one do you think is a better way to enhance the most positive energies?
The first thing is, temple can be anywhere except in your bedrooms. It can be in the east-west axis. You can keep a temple anywhere. In fact, in Mayamatam and all the scriptures, if you go and read, northwestern direction is very good for Brahman. They say. So it doesn't really matter where you keep your deities, but mainly the Ishanya, that is the northeastern zone, is for your sadhana. For doing your meditation and yoga. And suppose you want to choose between the two, as you said, either the fountain or this. If there is lot of windows there and natural light is anyway coming in, go for the puja setup, because the energy is already
there. So these temples are also heavy.
Very heavy. Yes. That is, and also what we do, especially in South India, you have a puja room by itself with 4 walls, heavy walls, no window, nothing, and it is kept in the corner of the northeast. That acts like an energy block actually. Yeah, so it's not very intelligent to have heavy setup in the northeastern corner. Go for glass, wood, and very light, one thin platform where you can keep your idols and lots of light. You need to have a lot of light. You can use crystals and silver and all that for your puja. Okay. But using metals like brass and all, maybe one diya, that's it. We should not put everything made of brass, because brass represents in a western direction.
Yeah, anyways, if somebody creates a temple, we have to also look at the metal of the idols as well.
Yes.
So brass is not used for making idols.
That is true. I don't know here.
It is usually panchaloha which is used. Yes.
But brass is nothing but copper and one other alloy, right?
Yes. So even panchaloha is not recommended.
Panchaloha is very ideal because Panchaloha is, again, you're trying to balance the metals, the 5 elements.
Okay.
So it's recommended and very good also. Silver is good in Northeast because it is Jala Tattva. Gold is also good because Northeast has Gurudev, planet Jupiter, and it represents, gold. So that is what every direction has its own metal and gem. You have to be careful in choosing them.
All right. Okay.
So this is how we energize. So energizing, first of all, we have to know what is a fault. I will give a list of faults that everyone should know, or at least know in their own homes. When they go back, after this session and see, they should be able to understand a few things, from this session. It's like a takeaway. So I'm now going to list out a few, main Vastu dosh, something which bothers you.
Okay.
So one is the depressions around the house. Like it can be a well, it can be a bore well, or it can also be underground water storage. We have.
Do we consider depression? Because there are people who live in a hilly areas.
Yeah.
They have one side high, though house has no slope. House floor is flat. But they have slope around the house.
Yes.
Because it is on a hilly area.
Yes.
So those things also matter. In this case also, do we consider northeast with a or north or eastern direction with a depression if the slope is from the south to north?
Yes.
Or shall we consider it as a slope around the house which is less of earth element and it is better?
Around your flat, that is your plot, outside, whatever is there, it is considered as slope.
Yes.
And for the slope, I gave that earlier.
Okay, the same principle.
Same principle, same thing. You should not even go and buy a plot which has a hill towards northern direction. Because northern direction is linked to your mother and also linked to financial health in the family. So the moment you have a hilly region towards your northern direction, you can be sure, because Dik and Kala are connected, you start living in such houses, you are going to experience in future financial difficulty, or your mother's, especially the mind part of it, mental health goes down.
Okay.
Depression may creep in.
Okay.
So
we'll continue to the depressions.
Yeah. Depressions. So how do you, when you have depressions within the plot, where can they be? That's the question. The depression is nothing but removal of earth element.
Yes.
When you remove some earth, it becomes a pit or something. They are good. Where can we remove earth? We can remove earth only in positive directions, because it enhances in the energy. The moment some part of earth is removed, energy starts oozing out. So which kind of energy do we want? We want only the positive energy to come out. So these depressions are acceptable only in the north, northeast and eastern directions. The other directions which are supposed to be heavy and firm, that is where you should not have any kind of depressions. So a lot of houses where, sometimes, you have a well in the central part of southern direction. That is where it's like, it active. The deity of central south, coincidentally, if you just look at the peripheral names, just go by the names. You don't have to understand Vastu. Just go and just read the names. The central name of the deity of the Vastu Purusha is Yama. It doesn't mean someone is sitting there on a bison or something, no, it's not that. It represents the nature of energy or the vibrations that come inside from that direction. Why is it Yama? Because it is like, that is where sun will be at 12 noon. And that means Jaivik energy is coming from the northern direction. And pranic energy is going from the southern direction. Jiva and prana are in opposition. It's not good for longevity. Most of the Vastu Shastra is all about, we call it as Akala Mrityu, the science of untimely events happening, how to prevent them. That is what is Vastu Shastra. So southern side should not have depression, especially south is connected to father figures. So father, in the household, he will not keep, good health if you have depressions in the southern directions.
So we exactly follow the North Indian birth chart to determine the direction.
Yes, you have to juxtapose that on your house and connect it to east on the first house. Just go by it. It's very simple for someone who knows astrology. Otherwise, you just know that the directions and each direction corresponds to a particular member in the family. For example, southeast to northwest is known as children's axis. So southeast refers to son, northwest refers to daughter. So southern direction refers to father, 10th house in the Kundali, and the 4th house refers to mother. So whenever another thing I would like to mention in Shivaswarodaya, which is a yoga scripture, in one of the scriptures, Shiva and Parvati, they talk about the 5 elements and creation and all that. In that it is given that wherever, it can be in your own body, because it's in the yoga, it talks about the body, human body also. The energies, when the prana moves along the northern side, that is the Pingala, not the Pingala, that Ida Nadi, Chandra Nadi Pravaha happens. That is when it is Shubha Sanketadai. It gives you good health. When your prana is moving only in the Pingala Nadi, activated Pingala Nadi, that is when you fall sick. Okay. So that is where the sun's control is there. So similarly, we take a house and just cut it in the according to the solar path, east to west. You just draw a line.
Center part of the east to center of the west.
Yes, you draw a line, and the northern part refers to the women in the house. Southern part refers to men in the house. All the Vastu faults that are there in the northern side will affect women only. And the others, the problems towards the southern side affect men majorly. So this is how, the father, mother in a family situation. Our own self is again, the decision part is taken care by the eastern direction. So sometimes your lift well, or there is a staircase coming in your apartment. Staircase tower is heavy because it's highly concrete, no? So when you have eastern direction heavy, that is most of the 90% of the people who suffer, stroke, the brain hemorrhage and all, it is because the eastern direction is very heavy. Okay. What do you do in such a situation? That is one thing. You have to nicely enhance the eastern energies, and if there is no window in that direction, you have to put up a big mirror and make light artificially travel from east to west.
Oh, even if it is a reflection, if I put a mirror, light is coming from the western direction, but it should reflect from the east, that will also enhance.
Yes, it will. It is one of the simplest ways of making the energy move in the right direction.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So in your own homes, now you go around and have a look. If you have any big mirrors towards the southern side and the western side, we are making the energy move in the negative direction. The energy is coming from the southern side and the western side, which we don't want. You can just remove those mirrors, or at least cover them up with some, lacy fabric or something. When it's not in use. When you really want to use it, you just open it and use it. Simple things. You don't have to, dismantle the whole thing.
Nowadays, most of the wardrobes are with mirror. Yeah. And if you want to really load the southern direction, we have to put wardrobes in the southern direction. And then it already has a mirror. So though we are loading the southern direction, but we are also creating a negativity by putting a mirror on it.
You are right. It's an anomaly. You are very, you can be a very good Vastu consultant soon. I can see a competitor here. Definitely, you touched a very serious point there. We try to keep all the loading towards the southern side and the western side, and that is where you dress generally, your own rooms, and you need a mirror. Please avoid that. That's it. You just have to remove you don't plan one there. In case you want to really have one, the olden methods, just open the shutter, and inside you can have a lineup of, you can just have the mirror inside. Right. That is possible. Otherwise, in your room, plan your mirrors only on the northern side and the eastern side.
All right.
Also, there's another way of improve. There's whenever I go, I notice this. The clock. Where should be the clock? It should never be on a passage where you go below it. Each time you go, it is ticking. Your time is being counted. This is one of this related field. So I just get them removed. So you also can do that. Just go around, and if any passage has a clock, you just remove it and put it elsewhere.
All right.
So we were talking about the main doshas. So the depressions. The depressions, where should they be? They should be in the positive directions. And then, there is something known as road hit situation. Suppose your house is in a place where one road comes straight and touches your
T-point.
Like a T-point, T-junction. So what happens there? In nature, energy does not go in straight lines. It goes in a mandalakar, circular fashion. You may have noticed even the structure of DNA to the galaxy, the way they are lined up, and the way a vine, the plant moves. Everything, it is in a helical manner. Helical manner is how the positive energy moves.
Alright.
Yeah, this is not known to the architectural, modern architectural people. That is why they give doors and windows, everything in one line for better air circulation.
Oh.
Air anyway circulates. The moment you have a window, it circulates. It just open. You have an opening, it circulates. They need not be in single straight line. Anything that moves in a straight line hits you. Like an arrow. It always hurts the body. So similarly, any road coming directly and causing the T, coming and touching it depends where they, what does that mean is, road hit is called as kulakshaya. Wherever the road is coming and touching, first of all, let's observe the direction where it is touching and decide. But the thing is, the meaning of that is kulakshaya. Suppose your plot has a road hit situation, that means that over a period of time, your family size tapers.
Oh.
Yes. If the road hit is from a good direction, or like a north or northeastern direction, which is good, of course, the intensity is good. In the northeastern side, we don't say don't have road hit. It's acceptable. But the thing is, it still causes tapering of the family in a good way. The family may not have boys at all. Only the girls will be born.
Okay.
And that is how the family says. This is a totally Indian perspective. Girls and boys. I'm not, saying you shouldn't have girls. I'm saying the family, the parampara,
That's the good way.
Yeah, it's a good way. That's right. So, you just look at it where it is, only from the northeastern direction and northern direction it is considered okay. Any other direction is not good.
Even if the house is not at the T-junction, but if the moment the door opens, the main door opens, and you have all the doors and windows aligned in one line,
Yes.
Does that also cause kulakshaya?
Definitely. This is a point I have seen many cases where, you may also, if you think our ancestral places, especially in villages, if you go, there used to be, my grandfather, we had a huge house with all the boys, my father and his brother. They were all living together earlier, as long as my grandfather was there. But we had a main door, Simhadwara, huge one, where my grandfather used to sit, and 4 doors, till the end, behind. It ends in the western direction, from east to west. You can see who is there, how many cows are there. You can see all that.
Like all in one line, all doors and windows.
Yes. What happens in such a situation is, though beautiful eastern door is there and nice energy is coming in, we are forcing that energy, the vibrations, to pass in a straight line, which is against nature. So what it does is, it divides the household into 2. So that is why all the ancestral homes with such a linear passages, they have divided, brothers, they go separate. Maybe there will be a wall later on, bifurcation happens. And in a city situation, I have seen people, who establish their startups in a house like that. The partnership breaks within 1 year. happens.
And does it impact health as well?
It does impact the health. Depends, if it is towards the southern direction. If the road hits it, that passage is ending in the south, that is when it impacts your health. If it is ending in the western direction, it impacts your business. Bankruptcy is one of the possibilities when such a passage ends in the western direction, because west is connected to business. South, especially in a situation like recently I attended one case where the father figure, the funny part, I don't know, it's fate actually, the younger generation, younger sons and all, they will go away, like, untimely passing away happens. Older people remain and suffer in such houses. They doesn't allow happiness at all. There is no celebration in such houses when Jiva and Prana are in play against each other. Yes. So the passages are definitely a big no-no within the house. It divides, and it's not a good way of energy movement. And the other things are like having staircases in the positive energy zones. Staircase has to be treated as a load. And especially in community living apartment situations, staircase can be anywhere. So we have to be very careful where the staircase is. If it is coming very next to your own door, main door, and if it is coming towards your east or the northern direction or the northeastern direction, it's better not to choose that flat, because it blocks the energy. No positive energy comes inside. So where should they be? They should be towards the southern side. But again, like your wardrobe situation here, lifts and also the staircase come together. They are designed together. Lift is a void, it causes lightness, and you have heaviness around it, like staircase. So that is why stairs and lift should be as far away from your flat as possible. That is the easiest from your home.
Okay, from your flat. Okay.
Yeah, don't choose anything which is very close. Usually what happens, if it's very close, people think it's very convenient and they choose something very close to the lift. We should avoid that. That is what we have to do.
All right.
Simple things, but they do have lot of bearing on our lives. So the staircase is another thing. So then internally, not aligning the zones as per the element, not having a elemental balance, activity. Like for example, kitchen. Kitchen is where lot of heating happens, the cooking happens there. So the best place for the kitchen is southeastern side. Why southeast? Why not east? If you ask me, earlier times kitchen we definitely could have had in the eastern direction. We never had that platform or anything. We used to sit on the floors, no heaviness. So eastern direction can definitely have a kitchen, but that is basically for vegetarians, because it's a very divine zone, eastern direction. So southeastern zone is where you can have a heavy kitchen, because it's a negative direction. You can have slabs and storage and utensils, everything. Storeroom also can come. So I am saying the activity that we do in the house should correspond to the element. We have to achieve the elemental balance that way also. Suppose I have my master bedroom in the southeastern direction, what happens? Fire zone, you will not get sleep. It will be a very disturbed sleep. The quality of sleep will not be good. So southeast is not the zone for master bedroom. So where will you have your master bedroom? Because master bedroom is it should be given to the southern direction or the southwestern direction, because that is the zone of earth element. Earth element gives you a lot of stability in life. So you will have a nice sleep, like you will sleep like a baby if you have your bedroom in the south and the southwestern direction. It also gives you stability in your business also, because you have loaded that zone. Generally, master bedrooms are heavier zones. All your things are there, maximum things. So that zone is ideal for our sleeping. And daughter zone, northwestern zone, that is where your daughter should sleep, because they are equated to wind element. They are not going to stay here. They get married and go, move out. Basically here in the Indian situation. So we give a bedroom to the northwestern side. And the north and northeast are the most positive zones. So we try to keep them light, no walls, nothing. So that is where we plan our living rooms with lot of big windows, And northeast is the ideal zone for puja or meditation. Yes, because it has a connectivity to divine energy. Yes, yeah. So the internal zoning, this is another thing. And so in the form of dosha, where are the toilets? This is the main culprit in present day, apartments. Exact center of the northern direction and center of the eastern direction, which is the mouth of it is the entry of pranic energy and jaivic energy. That is where the toilets will be given. The restrooms are planned there. The whole house will be devoid of energy. Whenever you may have noticed when you go to somebody's house like that, you don't even feel like staying there for some time. There is lack of energy of any kind. So such houses, you have to do this remedial measures. What we do, it's very simple actually. What has happened is the circular movement of energy is not happening because of the energy block. We have to just create a channel for the energy to pass. All around the toilet, outside the toilet, we just drill some holes, small holes. Even in an apartment, any floor we can do it. Just drill some holes and the directional element. If it is not
like nail hole.
Yeah, we just cut it, like 1 rupee coin. You just
like that.
You just use a bit, then you cut the tile open, insert these elements. It can be a gem or a metal like silver. If it is northern direction, we put pearls and silver, which represents Jala Tattva, water element. If it is eastern direction toilet, we put copper and also red coral. Red coral is these days not available because it's banned for sale. So endangered, so we only put the copper, and that takes care. The energy starts to move. I can give examples of children who are not performing well, because East is connected to education, basic education also, the progress part. So they were not doing well. The moment you do a simple, it just costs around 500 rupees maximum. Drilling work, maybe labor work is costlier actually. Maybe another 500 and 500. Within 1000 rupees, you just do the remedy and your child starts to perform better. Like magical. Next exam he scores better.
Especially for washrooms in the north.
Yes.
Washrooms
in the north and east.
Both. Betterment in studies comes from the north.
From the eastern direction.
Eastern is the head. But in our charts, in our birth chart,
that is the fourth house. Basic education. That is correct. But this is Dhi Dhriti Smriti, I told you, head region. The concentration and focus, all that. That is the reason. Only for the boys. It's actually, it doesn't bother the girls at all if you have an eastern toilet. If you look at it, yes. Up to northeast, northern direction, I told you to cut it into one line.
So if you're cutting it from the center of the east to center of the west.
Yeah. It's a technical
thing. Then we have to look at which side the washroom is going. Accordingly, it will impact the whole of the girl.
Definitely. Yes. And the northern washrooms definitely, have a bearing on the mother's well-being. And 70% of the malignancies happen in women. When there is a washroom in the central part of northern direction. Yes, and my mother was one. That is how my Vastu journey started. I wanted to understand why. She eats the same food as me. What happened? That is how I started. So malignancy. So it's no need to get scared here. You just get the remedies done. You can still have the same flat. You don't have to move out.
We can put a mirror on the door of the washroom.
Yes, on the door. And make the light, travel from the northern direction. Yes, simple things. And have flashy lights, flashy colors on the wall, like, white is better always for Jala Tattva zone. So this simple thing, the colors also play, You don't have flashy white colors in the southern side because you don't want anything to reflect.
So we keep southern side very dark and dull.
Yes.
And on the northeastern side very bright and lit up.
And light and lit up, yes. You can have a lot of chandeliers and crystals and all, and those things are allowed in the park.
Usually people put these chandeliers in the center of the house. Like if you have a hall center of the house and you put the chandelier there.
Yeah.
How is the center of the house? Brahmasthana
Yes.
act.
Brahmasthana, that is like the transmitter, you know.
Okay.
Actually, these 5 elements, they have these tanmatras, no? The same energy that comes from one part of the space, same energy when it moves towards this direction in the north, it becomes Jala Tattva. The same energy when it goes towards east, it becomes fire element. This is happening because we have enclosed a space. Outside it is different. Outside it just moves freely. There is no friction there. Here it is going, we are making it to go in circles. So the same energy goes. The Brahmasthana's role is that. And Brahmasthan is connected to our Vastu Purusha. It is the Nabhi zone.
Right.
Yeah. So suppose that is why there are some Marmasthana in the on the body of Vastu Purusha where we are not supposed to make it laden. We can't have walls there. You know what happens is when you put in a load on those zones, energy doesn't pass at all because you have put a stopper there.
So are these Marmasthanas are same as our body Marmasthanas?
Very much so.
Oh, very much same.
Much so.
So if somebody knows the Marma therapy, we understand the Marmasthana
They
in
will
Vastu.
know. They will know. Yes.
Okay.
In fact, it's amazing. Few years ago, in one of the lakes near Bangalore, one huge Shivalingam was found. So I was so excited to see that on the TV that day, and because it looks so much like the Nabhi that we put when we are building the house. I was excited because when you find something somewhere, based on the calculations, you can know exactly where the main deity is. So I was interested in giving that input to tell them this is where you should look for the main deity when you excavate. But later we came to know that that itself was the main deity.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a Ishvara temple, huge one.
Oh.
Yes. So we were saying, the Marmasthan, definitely the Vastu, the whole concept, our ancient rishis, whoever concept had these Vastu compiled together, they were amazing. They were like scientists of today. They knew exactly. So they made it very simple to understand. It is based on a human body. It's very easy. Where the heart is, there's the main Marmasthana point. That is, they are trying to tell us, as if trying to tell us that this is very crucial place where the energy points are meeting. Maybe, it represents one of the chakras, Anahata chakra exactly. The chakras are all aligned along this line.
So when we are actually looking at the Marmasthana, how do we put Vastu Purusha as the compound? Shall we consider the entire compound to put Vastu Purusha? Or we look at the main building inside the compound to put Vastu Purusha and then figure out the Marmasthanas?
It's a very good question again. There are two things. One is the Kshetra Vastu, another is Bhavana Vastu.
Okay.
So when we are trying to figure out where the different zones are, where the main building is going to be placed, you have to consider the whole of the Kshetra, that is the plot. And that has to be taken as the Vastu Purusha. There are two Vastu Purushas here.
Okay.
So you consider, when you are considering the placement of the load of the house, you are looking at the calculations based on the plot size. Inside the house also you have to achieve the same thing. So there you are only considering the size of the dimensions of the built area. So these two are different. Totally. But the idea, here I would like to add one point. Suppose you are now considering the plot. And in the plot, you identify the central area. Especially in Kerala homes, I want to, bring in and talk about that. They have this central Brahmasthana, open to sky. So, what happens is when the house also has, the building has similar openings, this earth element, the Brahmasthana is ether element, Akasha Tattva, it gets connected to immensity. So it's not really good. That is why,
having open space right in the center is not good.
Yes, it is not good when the Brahmasthana of the plot is falling, the building's Brahmasthana is falling into the southern sides or the western sides of the plot. If the plot is too big, this happens. You have to be very careful where your central opening is. You cannot just blindly have, even just for the sake of it, because you like it so much having a skylight in the center, you cannot just do it. If your plot is not too big, then you can have it, because the Brahmasthana of the plot and the Brahmasthana of the house are one and the same, almost one and the same. There it doesn't really create any havoc. But the moment you have a huge plot and a smaller home towards the southwest, what happens is the Brahmasthana of the house is in the southwest of the plot. So your energy, light is coming into the southwest. So that is why if you see, maximum Kerala houses, men are not there in those houses. It's a matriarchy, if you see. Ladies used to have they were the heads of the family, and the men will be doing business elsewhere. It will just push the men outside. They go, and either for good reason or any other reason, they don't live there. That is a observation.
It's very interesting.
Yes. Many people don't do that. Many people think that having a skylight in the center is very good. But it's up to us to convince them and give them the actual information. We don't try to convince, just give them the information. They have to understand. So I was talking about these doshas, how to identify. So we talked about the staircases, position of the balconies. We cannot have balconies. Balconies, you should understand, they extend the direction. Because a lot of light comes in. So we cannot have extension to negative direction, simple logic. So avoid any property which has a balcony and open terraces towards the southern side and the western side. It increases those energies which we don't want. So that is another placement of terraces and balconies. Then the restrooms we have considered, and the road heat situations we have considered. These are basically how you can identify whether your own homes now today, you can analyze your own homes, whether they need any assistance in rectifying them. You have to take care of that. For example, sometimes I've seen a lot of mothers saying that my son doesn't study properly. One such incident I would like to talk about. That boy was a champion. He was a national handball champion. But they built a new home and shifted. Then the downfall started. In the engineering, he got a merit seat in the engineering. They were in the other house at the time. After shifting, somehow he started accumulating papers. He couldn't clear all the papers at all, and he was in the final year. That is when I came in. They considered Vastu. So the main thing is their underground water storage tank was given in the fire zone, which is the southeast. Southeast is the sun's zone, children's access. So, it's as simple as that. That is why Vastu is all about creating events, eventology. Whether a good event has to happen or, you want to avoid a bad event, you have to just zone them correctly. And that lady was very thinking that, he was not studying. He was a very hard-working boy. We just did remedial work. What we did was in between the underground water storage and the house, we buried 1 kg of copper, like a diaphragm, just like a barrier. We did it so that there was a channel created for the fire element to pass, just go around. So, next exam, he cleared 14 papers together, which was not happening for 4 years. Simple things, so I would request all of you, Vastu is an amazing science. Either you can be a user, you can use the knowledge to rectify your own homes and invite positivity into life. That is what I did. In fact, this is like a full circle moment for me, because this is where my Vastu journey started.
Right.
Yeah, this is where I did my first Vastu course. So it's a wonderful career option too. So we have this conference coming up.
Yes.
And you have lined up amazing. I would like to, ask you to talk about it a bit.
Yes, but before that, I think let's take some of the questions from the viewers.
Yes.
So if they have some questions, let's read them out.
Yes.
And if you can answer some of them.
That will be nice. In the meantime, I will talk about how Vastu Shastra, how these our karmic energies get wiped out. Do we have time?
We have
Question.
few minutes, so
I would like to take up questions.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. I will, in the meantime, let us know, you may be curious, when, you don't know, suppose some people will come visiting your house, they would have said, this particular feature is against Vastu, so you better, move from here. So the fear factor, that is when all the problem starts in our minds. So when does an event happen? That is for everybody to know. They should know. Actually, some people, when we go and we talk about dosha, they say, I've been living here in this house for a long time. Nothing happened. They say like that. So here we will talk three entities we have to look at. So three entities. Okay. So do we have questions?
No. You talked about the three entities.
Yeah, the three entities. What are those? Is we are there born with our karmic baggage. So as a person, we have our karmic baggage. Suppose in our own kundali, planetary placements are showing that your one particular direction is not in good reference. I will just take an example of my east being bad. My reference to the eastern direction is not very good. So what happens there? The next one is around us there is this cosmic shield of Vastu that is built. Then around that house also there is cosmos. Events of a negative nature happen when a particular person has a reference to a particular eastern direction. In this example, eastern direction, his east is gone because there is a malefic planet placed in the first house or the fifth house or the ninth house, which refers to eastern direction. And then in the house also where he is living, eastern direction has lot of energy blocks. Maybe there is a restroom, maybe there is no window, maybe no sunlight comes inside, or maybe the level also is higher inside the house. Or it can be even outside in the cosmos, in the gochara, that is the present day transit, a negative planet may be traversing that part of the sky. Only when all these three are in alignment, when that thing happens, only then an event happens. It's not every day that a negative event happens. So don't worry, just take an assessment of your house and try to energize those zones where there is less of energy because of wrong placement of the zones, or you try to control the negativity of the directions like south, southeast, southwest and western directions. Ideal is to increase the Pingala, increase the Idaladi Pravaha, that is Shubha Sanketa Dai. In the yoga parlance, it is known as Shubha Sanketa Dai. When the maximum light comes from the northern direction, eastern direction and northeastern direction, that is when inside the house you have positive vibrations helping you. When the same thing happens from the southern side, the Pingala Nadi Pravaha happens. When too much of open space is left in the space in the prangan, that is outside the house, towards the southern side and the western side, your reference to solar energy is too much. What happens is that the Pingala Nada Pravaha gets activated, and that is when it is known as Kathina Karma, Krura Karma. That is, you end up facing a lot of troubles, one after the other. It's like a series. You take care of one, the next is ready, because southern side, especially the southwestern side, is connected to the 8th house in our Kundali, which is nothing but the Shatrusthan, which is like, Mritya Samana Vedane, we call it. That is, you sometimes wish that why do I have a life of this type? Because I have so many problems in life. Because your southern side is streaming, lot of light is coming in. So we have to have lot of heavy garden. Now suppose you have lot of openness towards the south, go for heavy garden, add some, differentiate the levels. These are all the remedial measures. You make that zone heavy with earth element. Have trees, all the fruit bearing trees, which make the zone heavy. They can come in the southern directions. This is how, you have to analyze your homes and rectify, try to rectify or balance the elements. The moment the elements are in balance, the energy flow becomes a mandalakara, that is in tune with nature. That is how energy flows in nature. So when the moment we are in tune with nature, the life becomes blissful. The focus of Vastu Shastra is actually not just arriving at a formula where you make lot of money, prosperity, focusing on increasing, achieving success. These are all the byproducts. The first thing is to align yourself to nature and enjoy that blissful existence, in harmony with nature. That is the beautiful, scope that we have with Vastu. That is why, why do we need Vastu? What is the uniqueness? If you have understood by now, in a household, especially people, some of you who are regularly doing sadhana and Sudarshan Kriya. In fact, I wanted to talk about that, the yogic remedies part of it. Do we have time?
Yes, we can definitely talk.
Yeah. So the yogic remedies, these are, even our Gurudev says, do Om Namah Shivaya chanting. Yes. Om Namah Shivaya. It has all the 5 elements there, and you do regular chanting. You don't have to worry about the Vastu dosh, which is very true. It is observed also. Similarly, I want to mention about Sudarshan Kriya. When we do Sudarshan Kriya, there is one very serious situation in the south side where, 2 arms of the south are extended. The southeast is grown and southwest is grown. South has gone inside. So it is like a alphabet U or a C of English. So when the whole house is turned towards the southern side and it has 2 arms, you are increasingly asking the Yama energies to come inside. That is how it, that is the effect of it. In such cases also, I have seen some of the devotees just doing Sudarshan Kriya, and you don't need anything else there.
Oh, so no Vastu remedy required?
Not required. Yes. That is why, that is why sadhana is amazing. You have to we should focus on daily sadhana.
So I'm sure each asana will rectify one or the other Vastu dosha in our house as well.
Most certainly, because that is the yogic way of balancing.
And we are going to talk about it in the Vastu conference.
Yeah. Yes, the Shastrartha that we are having, the panel discussion is all about that, no?
Yes.
Yeah, we will be discussing about the contribution of yoga. In fact, very simple thing is, most of the people these days, are diabetic. Earlier it wasn't so. My own grandfather, 96-year-old, he ate everything. He was very healthy. He used to cycle. Why I bring him here is, you don't see such thing happening. 30-year-olds are diabetic. So that is because the fire goes down. Whenever the fire element is not balanced in the body, the fire in the Manipura chakra. So fire goes down, the related organs, pancreas, it becomes ineffective. That is when the sugar arises, So we have to just balance these elements and enjoy life. So talking about yogic remedies, in such cases, whenever, that is why, one of the yogic remedies, Kapalbhati.
Oh,
Pranayam.
okay.
Yes. So the people are having any indigestion problem, anything related to your stomach region, they will do well with Kapalbhati Pranayam.
Very
And
nice.
yes, and Bhastrika helps people with yeast dosha.
Mhm.
Whenever there is yeast is closed and children not performing, you just encourage them to learn some techniques, no yogic.
Oh.
Yes, Bhastrika. Then for people, especially the northern direction, is connected to our mind, moon. So ladies having depression. Earlier, no one spoke of depression. These days, you hear so much about depression. One is there is no taboo. These days, people are coming out in the open. But the cases of depression are also increasing because you have common walls and no light coming from northern direction. So they will do very well by doing meditation, vipassana, or any kind of meditation. That really helps them balance their mental frame. So these four directions, cardinal directions, are connected to these elements are connected to these four pillars of consciousness. For example, mana is connected to the northern direction, buddhi is connected to western direction, chitta is connected to the memory part. It's connected to your prithvi tattva, that is southern direction, and east is connected to your ahankar, the ego part.
Oh.
So yeah,
Indra's direction.
yes, exactly. That is what.
Yeah.
Now that is why the names are very important.
Hmm.
So these four pillars of consciousness. When do we experience life in full? Is when all of these elements are giving their aspirations to you. Their virtues are available to you. Suppose each of these elements are connected to our sensory perceptions. If my fire element is down, my eyesight is also down. It goes down slowly. So if I say, do you want to lose your eye or do you want to lose your, which would you choose? You would say, no, I want all of my,
Yes.
all the senses till I die. That is what we want. So when all the these five sensory perceptions are with you, as long as you live, that is when life is full.
Yes.
So and by taking care of these directions and the elements and the balance, our quality of life improves. This is what finally leads you to a blissful life. It's not just how much money we make or the success in your other worldly way of understanding. That is not what Vastu Shastra aims at. It aims at the overall complete expression of life. So
it's very nice. We have talked about the basics of Vastu. We have also touched upon how taking care of certain Vastu elements in your house enhances the spiritual vibes at your home.
Yes.
We talked about what are the Vastu doshas that can cause problems in relationships. What are the Vastu doshas that can cause problems in your health? How your profession can be hindered by certain problems in the southern direction, as you mentioned.
Yes.
How to make your children study better, how to get married if you're not getting married.
Yeah.
Also, we talked about how to earn better using certain Vastu principles. So we have only touched upon certain things here. Little bit. All these things will be discussed in much details during our Vastu conference. And for 2 days, we are going to have speakers from all over the world, and they are best or the wisest people in the field of Vastu. With the blessings of Gurudev, we are getting them here, and they will be talking about each and every aspect of Vastu Shastra. We are going to start with the Vastu for spirituality. We'll continue to another very interesting aspect of Vastu called global Vastu. Though we consider southern direction bad here, we do not want light and air to come from southern direction because it is a bad direction. But if we move to polar region, like move to the upper part of Russia, the light and air comes only from the south.
Yes.
What to do here then? So all these nitty-gritties, all these questions, though it has answered a lot of questions, but it has kept more questions open for us to figure out.
Curiosity.
Yes, it has actually lit up the curiosity to know more and more about Vastu. So we'll wait for the conference, and we'll love to hear you in the conference again, as you are one of the speakers there, along with other wise people who are going to be discussing various aspects of Vastu. there is one section wherein we are going to discuss about Vastu for everyone, like Vastu for improving relationships and harmony, Vastu for having abundance and prosperity, and we are devoting one section only for business Vastu,
Yeah.
wherein one of our keynote speaker will talk about the remedial measures in business Vastu. One of our honored speaker will talk about how Vastu for business and NGOs are different, because in NGO we want to contribute, in business we want to gain. So the principles are different, the philosophy is different, and Vastu also changes accordingly. So all these nitty-gritties of Vastu are going to be discussed during these conference. Very important thing, as Gurudev has mentioned in our last Jyotish conference, that Vastu, Jyotish and Ayurveda should be studied together to understand the holistic, to get a holistic understanding of the subject. So we have one of the best country's best astrologers, Pandit Sanjay Rajji, talking about the Jyotish aspect of the Vastu during the conference. So we invite everyone to kindly register for the conference and do not miss this fantastic opportunity to meet so many wise people together at one platform and interact with them. If you have not registered yet, the link is vdst.in/vastu. We are still running the early bird offer. It will last for another couple of days. I request you, if you have not registered until now, do it right away. And we would also like to thank Sudhaji for taking out time and enlightening us with such wonderful tips on Vastu. Thanks a lot, and we will definitely look forward to hear you more during the Vastu conference.
And I am very thankful for giving this opportunity. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you.